Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to be here as a moderator of this event. I'm Binsaris B. Mangabat.
And I'm Maynard Labitag.
We appreciate to taking Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It is to officially open this program, I would like to ask everyone attention for the invocation of the to be followed by the Philippine National Anthem and the Tanawan hymn.
Bayang magiliw, perlas ang silanganan, alam ng puso, sa dibdib mo'y buhay. Lupang hinirang, duyan ka ng magiting, sa manlulupit, di ka pasisingil, sa dagat at bundok, sa simoy at sa langit mong baghaw, may nilang ang tula at awit sa paglayang minamahal. Ang kisap ng watawat mo'y tagumpay na nagdidinig, ang bituin at araw niya kailan pa may magdidilim. Lupa ng araw ng waraming pagsikta, buhay ay langit sa piling ko. Aming ligaya na pag may mga apit, at mamatay ng dahil sa'yo. Pangalan mo'y kumikinang, ang bantayan mo'y kaunlaran, at sa iyong sinapupunan, kami ginto mong iningatan. Dangan ka ng bayang Batangan, at perlas ka ng silangan, babaunin mo kailan pa man, Tanawan kong bayan. Tanawan bayan, Tanawan, ika'y
Good afternoon, everyone. We are now down to the highlight of our day one. This is the part wherein we will have our second Tanawan City College Engineering Research Colloquium 2021. To set the welcome remarks and to deliver her introductory remarks, let's have our program head, Engineer Maria Teresa Prenda. Let's give her a round of applause.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our second Tanawan City College Engineering Research Colloquium 2021 with the theme Strengthening Researches in Engineering Profession and Information Technology Education Towards Global Competence. First of all, I would like to acknowledge our panel of examiners, Engineer Derek Castillo, Engineer Richard Amante, Ms. Maria Diana Sales, and our internal panel, Engineer Juliet Niega. Also, I would like to recognize the efforts of our research advisor, Engineer Rionel Caldo. Thank you, sir, for all the assistance and help for making this happen. And of course, I would like to recognize our technical team and our graphics team for making everything happen na kahit bigla-biglaan lang. So for today, we have 3 research presentations from our students. So I think one group is from third year computer engineering, and then 2 are from the 5th year computer engineering students. And then we have a paper presentation by Engineer Caldo, and then another by Engineer Ralph Visaya. So next is the statement of purpose by Engineer Rionel Belen Caldo. Sir.
Okay, so good afternoon. For the objectives of this activity, so the following are the objectives. Number 1, to enable the students to engage in sound and pertinent research in the area of engineering, computing tools, and technology. Next is to gain experience in the presentation of research papers. Third is to demonstrate mental agility before their peers. And finally, to develop their skills in effective communication for research output dissemination. Thank you.
And now, to start our colloquium, let's have the entry number 1 with the research, a model case of building management decision support system for Tanawan City College using fuzzy logic. And here are the members: Dolar Minalin, Garcia Jason, Gonzalez Harish, Manaug Edsel, Mendoza Mona Lisa, with an advisor, Engineer Visaya. Let's welcome our presenters from entry number 1. Before we proceed on presenting the paper, let me introduce the panel of judges. First, we have the internal panel. She has the Master of Science in Computer Engineering, an internal panel, and part-time CPE faculty. Let's have Engineer Juliet Oniega.
All right. Our first panel member, he has a degree of Bachelor of Science in Computer Engineering. Please all welcome Engineer Derek Castillo.
And our second panel member, he has the Bachelor of Science in Electronics and Computer Engineering, Engineer Richard Amante.
So our final chair, she has a degree of Master of Arts in Teaching, major in Science and Technology. Please Give her a round of applause to Miss Maria Diana de Luz Sales.
And let us discuss the criteria for judging.
We will start from criteria for judging of paper presentation. First, communication style 40%, comprehension 30%, and lastly, engagement 30%.
And the criteria for judging the best paper, it has 30% for the problem definition and methodology, 20% for analysis and argumentation, 30% for the structure and writing, and 20% for the presentation and referencing.
So the last criteria for judging of the best research, technical viability 30%, adaptability, replicability, and utilization potential is 30%, social impact and relevance is 20%, contribution to our advancement of knowledge 10%, and also originality 10%.
And now let's start the presentation. Let's have again on the floor Mr. Gonzalez Harish and Garcia Jason. And let's have Engineer Rionel Caldo for his keynote speech. Let's give him a round of applause.
Okay. Okay, hello. Good afternoon. Sorry for confusion. So let's start first with the keynote speech. I'll be presenting to you a research entitled A Model Case of Building Management Decision Support System for Tanawan City College using Fuzzy Logic. So this is very timely since our presentation is specifications and the control limits for that specific judgment. The notification included an alarm so that the personnel in charge can easily recognize the need of change in temperature. Okay. For the synthesis of literature, so we gathered a lot of references for synthesizing the literature review. Basically, this includes the SPC-based temperature monitoring system. And also, we realized that it contributes to energy saving or energy efficiency endeavor, and several techniques or methods presented to be acquired to further improve the system. The use of Arduino microcontroller is very common already, and it can be used for parameter like temperature and humidity. And however, there is no yet study to facilitate decision support system and statistical process control and fuzzy logic in a single temperature monitoring system. Most of the available monitoring system applies only the use of fuzzy logic but never using the SS and SPC. The novelty of this work will not only be limited to the construction of membership functions and specific fuzzy rules, but also it will add to the body of knowledge the effective use of analysis using control charts and SPC rules. Provision of database and prototype that will monitor and detect occurrences of abnormality in the room will also notify the status to in-charge personnel. And lastly, the derivation of the algorithm constructed in MATLAB Fuzzy Logic Toolbox using Sugeno style of fuzzy inference systems. As you can see here, this is basically the conceptual framework, how the system will be developed from start to end. Here is the IPO chart representing the inputs needed that includes the knowledge and the hardware to be used and the software to be used for this particular system, how it will be processed, and what will be the desired output or functions. And this is basically the block diagram of the system, comprising the data monitoring, the data management, the statistical process control, and the decision support system. And here is the simplified block diagram of the system. I just illustrated here how are we going to formulate the PASI rules, what are the needed input parameters, and how are you going to communicate that with our hardware for the interfacing purposes. And this is the fuzzy logic system diagram for the fuzzy logic concept. So that includes the rule-based concept on how are we going to fuzzify and defuzzify our rules. And this is the inference engine and the business intelligence for our decision support system. And I also constructed a data flow diagram of the system. This is actually level 0. And this is the level 1 of the data flow diagram of the system. I also created a work breakdown structure showing to you how are we going to arrange our hardware components and the software components and the different functionalities of the system. And in the theoretical framework, this is just mere discussion of the fuzzy logic controller. So basically, fuzzy logic is just like a computational intelligence in which you generate some rules from the experts so that you can actually come up with the desired output without using any high-level computation. And this is the fuzzy logic controller block diagram. And this is the process in the control. So in this particular project, so I have used here the use of control limits, the upper control limit and the lower control limit. And here are the different rules that we needed to consider, whether the rules are out of control or the rules are shifting to the right or shifting to the left. And basically, another thing that I considered here, aside from the fuzzy logic, is the use of decision support system. Okay, and the data must be collected by the user automatically, and the fuzzy logic will facilitate the decision making of the system. So basically, the fuzzy logic, the statistical process control, and the decision making, these are all integrated in one system. Okay, I also have used fuzzy logic toolbox in MATLAB for the implementation, and the inference system that I have used is the Sugeno style. I also will be using the Visual Basic, specifically Excel macro program and VB.NET for the software implementation to make a graphical user interface. And of course, the very commonly used Arduino microcontroller based on C language or Arduino IDE. And as you can see, this is basically the proposed design. So after we get the data from the temperature and relative humidity sensor, so the data will be automatically stored using our VB.NET software, and the software will communicate with the hardware devices, and the output will be displayed in the LCD display with control chart to represent whether it is out of control or out of specs or shifting to the right or shifting to the left. Okay, so basically, SPC-based temperature monitoring for air conditioning unit system was developed for temperature and relative humidity, and the values will be read using sensors, I have said, and controlled by microcontroller, and the measured values will be stored in Excel file using visualbasic.net. The database will also contain the read data with respect to the monitored and observed parameters, so this is where the decision support system comes in. The system will plot automatically through the support of a statistical process control to judge the control limits and the specifications limit, whether out of control or out of specs, relative to the fuzzy logic rules that I have created using ASHRAE standard conformance. After analyzing the data, the system will provide a notification to be sent through pop-up and alarm system. And the notification system is consisted of 3 LED lights, red, yellow, and blue, and an alarm so that the personnel can easily recognize any need for adjustment of the temperature in the air conditioning unit. And here is the MATLAB Fuzzy Logic model that I have created. So basically, this is the hierarchical structure of the room management system. And these are the MATLAB Fuzzy Logic model for the fast inference system, both for the room temperature and the relative humidity. These are basically the membership functions that I have created, the number of people, input membership function. This is for the room size input membership function, and the FIS for perceived room environment. These are the rules and the membership function for temperature input monitoring function and the relative humidity. And these are for the room requirements input membership function and the room environment input membership function. These are the rules that I have created using if-else rules, okay? This is another rule for the perceived environment. This is for the room management system. And this is for the room requirements assessment rule viewer. This is for the perceived environment. And this is for the perceived environment condition. And that's it. So for the conclusion and future directives, as you can see here, MATLAB was used to simulate the fuzzy logic as I have shown earlier. So there are two inputs that I have considered, the temperature and the humidity. As I have said, I have used the Sugeno style of fuzzy inference system for the if-else rules. And there were 25 fuzzy associative memory matrix created. And this was actually based on the ASHRAE standard. So that is actually the national or international acceptable standard for indoor air environment. And those parameters are used for MATLAB Fuzzy Logic Toolbox to determine the temperature condition. And the proponent was able to verify the number of people or the volume of the object in a specific room that can be also a huge factor in detecting the temperature and humidity. And also, this model will be realized in a real working system using established framework and methodologies discussed on the previous section. So this is basically a model, but eventually it can also be implemented using all of the information that I have presented earlier. The tool will be assessed and evaluated in the future as well in terms of functionality, accuracy, reliability, and effectiveness in satisfying the set objectives of the study. And once the testing and evaluation phase were completed or accomplished, then it will be implemented. So I think that would be all for my presentation. Thank you so much. I would like now to give the floor again to our distinguished moderators for some questions, if any. Thank you.
Hello, anyone who would like to ask questions to Mr. Rionel Caldo? Okay, I think we're all good. So now let's proceed on awarding this certificate of appreciation to Engineer Rionel B. Caldo in gratitude for being the keynote speaker in and inspiring the student and faculty members in the second TCC Research Colloquium entitled Strengthening Researches in Engineering Profession and Information Technology Education Towards Global Competence during the Engineering Days 2021 with the theme TRES, the Reinvention of Engineer Supremacy. Given this 19th of May 2021 at the TCC Audiovisual Room, Tanawan City College, Tanawan City, Batangas. Let me call on Ms. Maria Teresa Prenda for the awarding of certificate. And now let's have the presentation of our engineering student. And now here is the guidelines. They have 15 minutes to present their research. They will be receiving an overall comments from the panel of judges and will have 2 questions for the research. And now let's have on the floor the presenters, Mr. Harish Gonzalez,
So good morning. Good morning to each and everyone, especially to our panelists and to our department head engineer, Maria Teresa Prenda. So, we would like to introduce myself first. I'm Harish A. Gonzalez. So we're here to present our research entitled Development of Internet of Things-Based Smart Healthcare Monitoring and Tracking System. For introduction, presentation. PPT. Wala. Paano? Start na. So good afternoon to each and everyone, especially to our panelists and to our department head. Engineer Maria Teresa Prenda. We would like to introduce myself first. I'm Harish Gonzalez. So, we're, so I here to present our research entitled Development of Internet of Things-Based Smart Healthcare Monitoring and Tracking System. Accidents are everywhere, but it can always be prevented. In the Philippines, the top accident that cause death are the road accidents. So that's why we came up in this device and the number of accidents so it always can detect enemy sharp easily. Ay po, mag-next.
Now for now now for the rationale. The aim of this proposal is to develop and implement a health monitoring system. This device will reduce the number of emergency calls by using the Node MCU microcontroller, Arduino IDE, Blink application, MAX 30205, and GSM module. This project is used to keep track of patients who aren't traditionally in a clinical setting. This technology has the potential to minimize the number of emergency room visits, hospitalizations, and hospital stays. The objective of our proposed project is the general goal of this research is to create, design, and develop a device and system that will benefit not only the city health of Tanawan but entire city of Tanawan. For the scope and limitations, the device only senses the temperature and the heartbeat of the user. It also uses a GPS tracker to pinpoint the location of the user. When the device sends abnormalities, the user's vital signs will notify the registered number via emergency alerts. Now for the concept. Now for the conceptual and related studies. These tables compares the related studies gathered in this study, as well as their description of the hardware, software, and controller used. But since this study attempts to discuss the development of an Internet of Things based smart healthcare monitoring and tracking system, the related studies and reviewed literature serve as the foundation of this study. Now let's move on to the project's proposed design. The proposed design is that depicted in this image is, contains all the components required to complete the project's execution. However, the proposed design will undoubtedly vary in color and size, depending on how we create and complete the project prototype. Now for the proposed user interface. This is our proposed user interface. It is essentially the interface of the Blink application. We just simply customize it and create an appropriate design that will suit the functionality of our project. And for the hardware components design. This design depicts the component schematic connections. This includes the component parts as well as the variation in the connection. As you can see, we use Node MCU as the microcontroller, focusing on its functionality as the main component. We choose Node MCU because it has a Wi-Fi module that can be used to support the accurate tracking system. On the other hand, we use the GSM module, which is used to send notification. ADS1115 was used as the extender for the analog to digital pins. We also use MAX 30205 as the temperature sensor. Now for the this is our generalized system flowchart. The Blink application user interface serves as the foundation of our system. After signing up for the application, the user must log in. Then the user must device on Blink application. Then the data collection process will then begin. With the body temperature, heart rate, and pulse rate being the data collected during the initialization. The proposed project will then put the outcome to the test. If the sensors that the data is inappropriate, the device will automatically send and notify the user's relatives, containing the user's alarming state. The proposed project will also track the user's location after sending the notification. On the other hand, data that has been tested is appropriate, it will simply display the output via Blink and user. Now for the hardware block diagram. These hardware block diagrams depict with Node MCU as its brain. The temperature sensor and heart rate sensor are the next input components. Then to build an IoT-based system, we will need the Arduino IDE, which will serve as the support for all the commands required throughout the system. The Blink application will serve as the customized user interface for the output components.
Thank you, Mr. Jason Garcia. So that's all for our presentation. Thank you for listening.
And now, we would like to hear the overall comment and the two questions of each panel of judges. We will start from Engineer Derek Castillo.
Okay, just to help out our panelists here, so and also to both of you and other members of the group, they'll be giving overall comments for your presentation and your research, and then each panel member will also ask two questions, and then kindly answer their questions. So at first, as moderator said, so let's start with Engineer Castillo.
So good afternoon, guys. And I would like to ask if, di ba mga third year kayo, right? Kayo third year. So guys, please give them a warm clap or applause. Kasi welcome to the world of research. So as what I've remembered, I started I started my research journey also third year college. And Engineer Caldo was my mentor. So, shout out, Engineer Caldo. So, for my question here is, why did you choose GSM? Why did you add GSM to your system? Wherein we know that GSM will soon be decommissioned. So we all know that we have 5G, 4G, and 3G as our mode of communication, and soon 2G will be decommissioned. So what are your future plans to make this sustainable?
Thank you, sir, for the beautiful question. So, we use GSM module because that's the basic module that we already learned. We haven't learned yet the 4G and 5G modules, and that module is easier for us to do because we are still third year and we haven't have experience.
Okay then. And what could I suggest if, for example, when you are presenting in front of the camera, so you should focus on the presentation itself. Don't let the presentation control you. So, for example, you have both scripts, right? So what I could suggest is you please have an eye contact, especially with the panel, so that and also to your audience. And I think your starting journey is good kasi yun nga, nagsisimula pa lang naman tayo. So it's all right, okay lang yan. You have plenty of room for improvements. And for my second question, can you go back to the hardware circuitry? So I seen something on your hardware circuitry on slide 16 about your USB module. So when one tip when you are using the USB module is you must examine and identify what is the parts of that module. For example, on your USB module, I could see on your hardware or circuit diagram that the battery and the VCC and ground input of your system is all connected in parallel. Where you can see on the USB module itself, there's an input for battery and input for the load. Okay, input for the load. So I think please take that as a suggestion that you should follow the proper diagram or circuit diagram of the USB module. And I think the last one is what is your basis? What is your basis that you put the proposed hardware itself on the ARM, wherein we can detect. So we can detect any pulses on our arms. So what are your basis na dito nyo sa arms nilagay?
We think that it will be more accurate if we use the project, if we put it in our bicep, because we use the Max 30205, sir, but mas
Sige lang, mag-Tagalog lang kayo. Okay lang. Okay lang. Please use Tagalog. Oo, okay lang.
gawa po sa tingin po namin, sir, is yung ginamit po naming temperature sensor applicable naman po sa sa bicep po.
Okay.
Yung Max 30205 po, sir.
Okay. But yung gusto ko lang i-explain is yun, 'di ba may yung sa sensor ng pulse. 'Di ba meron din tayo ng pulse. And what I'm seeing right now is yun nga, actually napa-search pa ako yesterday while looking for the basis kung bakit ganito. And hindi ko siya nakita na may pulso dito sa part na to. So pwede dito. But pwede dito, pwede rin dito. And siguro yun na lang din yung suggestion ko for the hardware and the hardware part. And congratulations, guys. You have a good start. So okay lang naman yan, okay lang. You have a plenty of room for improvements naman. So yun, thank you guys for presenting din.
Thank you po, sir. po, bali, ang paper po kasi namin sir hanggang ano lang po, chapter 3.
Yes sir, tama po. Okay po. Okay po sir. Okay po sir.
Hello.
Kala ko hihigupin ako eh.
Okay, so ang second question ko kasi dapat is how will you measure the effectivity of your proposal? But since your proposal is only until chapter 3, so I think I need to be here in your next defense. Hopefully, I will be chosen again as a panelist so that I can see the result of your project. Okay? So again, congratulations for your, this is another milestone for you, for both of you since you are only a third year. So you will have ilang years na lang ang engineering, sir? 4 years. So you still have a 1 year for to pursue if this will be still your project or you will be thinking another ideas. So there are many items or there are many projects that you can see in the near future. We can say if this is still the one or you will be having a new one. Pero at least congratulations agad sa inyo. Okay?
Thank you po sir.
Congratulations again. Ayan. Kanina pa kayong kinakongratulate kasi nga compared to your other presenters, kayo yung pinaka-youngest, ano? And
Yes po.
kayo yung nakarating dito, ano po? Yan. Okay, since I am not an engineer, I'm an educator, practical lang yung tanong ko. Kaya yung itong sagutin, ano? Kasi ito yung importante sa ginagawa natin. Kahit anong technical at hindi natin alam kung ano ba talaga ang gamit nito, hindi natin ito may apply ng maayos, no? Okay, my first question is, compared to all tracking system and healthcare monitoring devices, what advancement you develop in your product?
The GPS module po.
GPS. Actually, sabi ko nga, I am not an engineer. I am an educator. No, para mas madali ko siyang maintindihan, anong kayang gawin ito na hindi kayang gawin ng iba?
Ma'am, bali po, dinagdag po namin yung yung tracking system po. Which is powered po siya ng ng Wi-Fi module po ng Node MCU. Bali po, kapag na-sense po nung sensor na nagka-problema po yung user, which is nagkaroon po siya ng critical condition, may magna-notify po dun sa relatives po nung user. Tapos po, pwede pong ma-track nung relatives po, yung user. Para po mas mabilis yung pag-responde po sa sa emergency situation
Okay,
po.
parang yung sa cellphone, meron siyang app na monitor.
Apo.
Okay, yun. Nasagot naman ang aking tanong. Another question. What is the impact of your research to our country that is experiencing COVID-19 pandemic? Di ba, alam naman natin na sa COVID-19, para malaman na positive ka, kailangan may swab test tayo. Hindi kaya mas maganda, suggestion ha, hindi kaya mas maganda ay number of oxygen. Lalo ngayon sa COVID-19 pandemic, pwede ba yon? Possible ba yon? Pati yung oxygen level ay mamonitor nyo. Possible kaya yon? Kasi marami ngayon namamatay, hindi lang COVID-19. Atake sa puso, ganyan, na ang nagiging cause ay nawawala ng hangin, ganon. Parang mas maganda siguro kung may additional na ganon na.
Ma'am, actually po, nasa scope po namin yan, yung COVID-19 po, na hindi po siya kasali. Kasi po, wala po kami maisip na way kung paano po ma-detect po yung COVID-19. Through swab test lang po talaga siyang detect. So,
Okay, kaya nga sabi ko nga proposal nyo lang, di ba? Ayan, siguro sabi ko nga suggestion and at the same time question na din, no? Kasi yun po ang hanap ng tao ngayon. Paano mabebenta ang product kung wala yung kailangan nilang mahanap? Nakuha po natin. Kasi as you can see sa mga mall, pagdaan mo, monitor na agad nila. Temperature mo, ganito lahat, napakabilis. The blink of the eye, no? Siguro, yun nga, para mas may makitang advancement dun sa research nyo, if ever dumating sa point na meron kayong makita, idagdag nyo na lang siya.
thank you, ma'am.
Para pasok talaga siya, no? Thank you.
Good afternoon po. Good afternoon sa mga judge. On the boys. Okay, first and foremost, I would like to congratulate you for trying your best to present your work, your paper. Aside from the difficulty that you experienced a while ago, well, at least na-present nyo naman, okay? So, katulad nga sinabi natin, kahit na anong technicalities, the show must go on. And you tried your best to present your paper to the best that you can, okay? So, I have a lot of questions, but I was advised Mamamatay. Kasi guys, you're using your questionnaire before you proceed with your study to develop your purpose, okay? To create your purpose. And at the same time, para mag-materialize yung objective ninyo in your study. Okay, so that's the purpose of having a questionnaire, pre-questionnaire, pre-survey, before you proceed with your topic and before you proceed with your study. Okay, so since you conducted a questionnaire na parang wala namang kinalaman sa inyo, you conducted a survey na parang walang kinalaman sa inyong objectives, sa inyong purpose, I would like to ask, how do you do your surveying? What type of sampling that you use? How do you do your sampling? Because survey, guys, survey questionnaire, sampling method. Now, in the sampling method, there's different techniques, okay? So how do you choose your respondents? What type of sampling techniques that you use? Oh, you see, hindi ninyo alam kung saan nyo gagamitin. Kaya hindi nyo alam kung anong sampling method ang inyong gagawin. Okay? Kasi the sampling method is very important because the sampling method will help you to identify your objectives, the purpose of the study itself. Okay? So do you use the classified, the stratified sampling? Do you use the convenient sampling? So depende yon kung anong purpose. Okay? So better you review your literature. Okay? Then my second question, guys, is, so since kanina, nasabi ni Engineer Castillo about the GSM, right? So IoT, that is an emerging technology, but then the technology that you'll be using in your IoT is out of technology. Okay? So meaning, guys, hindi na magiging effective ang isang emerging technology if you're going to use an old technology. Right? So my recommendations is, sir, and I recommend the same too. You should change your GSM kasi out of tech na siya. Okay? IoT is an emerging technology, but the technology that you'll be using is out of technology. Okay? So just only a recommendation. Better to change your GSM. Hindi na siya napapanahon. Okay? Then another suggestion, guys, is if you're going to do your paper, since you develop chapters 1, 2, and 3, please check your literature. You must have a strong literature. So for example, sabi ninyo nag-conduct kayo ng survey. Okay? So survey can be included in your literature, but then dapat ang nakalagay sa survey questionnaires ninyo, ano ba yung mga vital signs na dapat tinitingnan para ma-identify natin ang condition ng isang patient. So do you have that in your literature? What are the most important vital signs that you should check in order to identify the condition of the patient? Kasi may kinalaman naman yun sa tanong ni Sir, bakit dito? Walang pulso ito. Right? So bakit dito ninyo inilagay? So your literature will answer. Ano bang vital signs ang dapat mong i-identify para malaman mo ang kondisyon ng isang tao kung patay na ba yan o kung ano? Temperature. So temperature, I guess, guys, malalaman mong patay na ang isang tao, I don't think sa temperature. Sabi niyo mortality. Okay? Sabi niyo mortality. If ang primary considerations niyo is to monitor only the temperature, I don't think na hindi na effective. Hindi effective dito ilagay. Okay, ano bang vital signs ang imo-monitor ninyo sa patients? May I know? May we know?
Heart rate po, tsaka po
Pardon?
pulse.
Come again?
Heart rate po, tsaka po
Heart
pulse
rate. Okay. What else?
Pulse rate po, tapos po body temperature po.
Temperature, ano pa? Pulse rate. Okay.
Yes po.
So you should have a strong literature for that, for those. Okay, because literature will show that those are the very important vital signs that need to be monitored, okay, in a patient. Okay, then another thing, another consideration that we should consider here, guys. Ang dami na naglalabas ng mga smartwatch, right? Smartwatch, nagmo-monitor na yan ng pulse rate. How are you going to compare your device, your project, considering na yung smartwatch may 1.5 ka, okay na, namo-monitor na yan yung pulse rate mo. Did you know, guys, malalaman mo isang taong patay na kapag wala siyang pulse rate? So, isa yan sa magiging problem ninyo in your study. How are you going to compare your project doon sa mga nag-i-exist ng mga smartwatch na ang mumura? Okay, so better you check your literature. What are the advantages of using smartwatch? Para mabigyan ninyo ng justice yung inyong project. But then, if you fail to compare your work sa smartwatch, I think hindi siya ma-recognize as a new technology, new development in our field. Kasi hindi nyo masosurpass yung ginagamit na ng present. How are you going to recommend that to those 100 people na sinurvey ninyo? Okay, do you have an idea kung magkano magagastos ninyo in developing your project? Kasi you're competing against 1,500, ganyan kamumura ang mga smartwatches ngayon. Yes. Yes, yun ang magiging competition ninyo, yung mga lumalabas ng mga smartwatches ngayon. So yun yung kukonsider ninyo. Or else, magiging useless yung project kung mas mahal siya sa mga naglalabas ang mga smartwatch. Kung ako yung patient, how I'm going to consider your project considering na makakabili lang ako ng 1,500 na smartwatch? Ay, hindi na sila nakasagot.
Actually po, yung
Binibigyan ko lang sila, sir, ng idea. Kasi yung pagbuo, oo. Kasi babalik uli yung sa tanong nila. Babalik ulit yan sa inyo. Pag kayo ay, yes. Babalik ulit yon.
Actually po yung sa amin po kasi, nagre-range lang po siya up to 3,500.
How much? 3.5.
700 po. 700 lang po siya. Tapos po,
How much? Come again?
700 po.
700? Are you
Opo.
sure? How much is one Arduino?
Ano po,
One Arduino is 800 pesos already. Yeah? Walang Arduino sa device niya?
Load MCU po.
How about the sensors? You'll be using different sensors since you're monitoring the temperature, you're monitoring the pulse rate, and you're monitoring the heart rate. Are you going to same this? Are you going to use the same sensors? I don't think so. At the same time, ilalagay nyo pa dyan yung 4GL for the monitoring.
Actually, doon lang po siya sa mga hardware po. Na-compute na po siya, namin siya na 700 po lahat.
Okay, I wish to see your computation by next defense. Okay, so I just hope, guys, you please do consider these recommendations kasi yan yung magiging problem ninyo. Actually, IoT acceptable pa siya in a research paper or in any research studies. But the problem is, how are you going to use the technology or what are the devices that you're going to use for such technology? Because IoT is an emergent technology. Okay? Ang problema lang tulad ng sinabi ni Sir, hindi na pwede ang GSM. Kasi 4GL na tayo. Pagdating nga noong dito, 5GL na ba yun, Sir? Kindly imagine. So,
Yes,
dapat yun na ang gagamitin ninyo for
Thank you to our panel of judges for giving their perspective and suggestion to their research. And to our presenter, congratulations. Moving on, our next presenter is the entry number 2 with the title again with the title Development of Internet of Things Based Smart Health Care Monitoring and System. And now may I call here at this stage Mr. Egay Ronald and Ms. Muahe Maylin for presenting their research.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon to our faculties, to our panelists of judges, presenters, our viewers in our YouTube channel, and to everyone. I am Maylin Muahe, and in behalf of our group, we are here to present our research entitled IoT-based food waste compost bin machine. In this presentation, we will tackle the abstract, statement of the problem, objective of the study, scope, limitation and delimitation of the study, conceptual framework, block diagram, graphical design, and proposed design. In this proposed project, we focuses on the idea on how to reduce biodegradable waste and reuse it. As a citizen of Tanawan City, we have noticed that a lot of food waste is dumped from the food industry, from public market as well as in houses that are dumped in a landfill or improper places, which are sources of foul odors and may cause various diseases. The statement of the problem. What system can be designed to control way of disposing of food waste by various businesses? Second, what kind of technology can be used to help and reduce human interaction? And third, how to make the machine that reduce the process time, reduce human error, and increase safety for the user. We came up to this idea to help the environment to create an IoT-based compost bin machine, which is an innovation from the old-fashioned method of decomposing food waste. The objective of our study are to design a kind of system that will help various food establishments to properly manage their food waste disposal. Second, to create a machine that can be used to help and reduce human interaction through the use of IoT-based technology. And third, to make the machine that reduces the process time, reduces human error, and increase safety for the user. Next is the scope, limitation, and delimitation of the study. Scope of our study is the IoT-based automated food waste compost bin machine was designed to convert food waste into a compost. It was composed of both hardware and software system. For its hardware, it was made of metal with a shredder, strainer, and mixer. From shredding until the waste were sliced to its finest texture. Second, to filtering until the larger pieces and the liquid got separated too. And third, by mixing the refined ones with the soil of the same amount. This organic fertilizer product is ready to use. Aside from that, this machine will also use IoT and GSM for the user to monitor the system of the machine and at the same time to control the compost bin remotely and with the use of internet or data connection. The limitation and delimitation of this study are the machine can only process a weight of 1 to 2 kilograms with only one cycle of process at a time. It will only process food waste such as rotten vegetables and etc. Maintenance was indicated in the guidelines that restricted the use on the proper use of the machine. Since it will use IoT and GSM, the response of the machine may vary depending on the strength of the internet signal around the area. Poor signal connection may affect the machine communication process, and the machine also can't operate without a power supply and internet. Aside from that, this proposal is only subjected to Tanawan City community. And for exceptional framework and other, I would like to call Mr. Cajete.
Good afternoon po, panelists. Okay. Let's go. Sorry, no. Conceptual framework. As can you see, meron po tayong mga food waste na nasasayang po dahil sa hindi po natin maubos yung mga pagkain natin. So, nag-decide po kami na mag-create po ng project na ito, na prototype, food waste po, then after create na IoT-based food waste machine, hanggang sa po kami sa pagka para po siyang re-recycle po natin yung mga food waste, magki-create po kami ng machine. Ang machine po magki-create po ng fertilizer, then iikot po siya para mag-create po ng fertilizer na organic fertilizer.
So yung organic fertilizer po magagamit po natin para sa mga sa mga plants po natin. So yung plants po natin, hindi na po natin kailangan gumamit ng mga chemical fertilizer. So organic na lang po. Then doon po yung iikot po ang cycle ng ating conceptual framework po. Sa block diagram naman po, same lang din po. Sa first po natin ay sa food waste. So ang main po namin dito ay Node MCU po. Control po siya ng mobile phone. Ang app po na ginamit namin ay Blink app. Then meron din po siyang relay, motor, then speaker. Then meron din po siyang mga LED. Tapos meron din po siyang GSM module for notifier and SMS po. Ayun, babalik. Sa graphical design po, para po mabawasan po natin yung mga food waste na tinatapon po natin sa landfills. Pag wala pong food waste na tinapon sa landfills, mababawasan po natin yung mga po natin sa landfills. Makaka-help din po tayo sa Mother Earth. So pag ang food waste po natin, ginawa po natin fertilizer po, organic, makaka-less po tayo ng magiging eco-friendly po tayo, gawa na mawawala na po yung food waste. So ito po yung proposed design po namin. Yung proposed design po, pa lang po yan, mababago pa po namin yung pagkaka-propose design po namin dyan, gawa ng meron pa po kaming binago po sa design na kung saan po mga naka-base po yung mga components po namin, kung saan po ilalagay namin, then kung saan po namin, paano po namin pagkakapit yung mga motor, then yung mga sensor, GSM, and then po yung mga Node MCU po. So, ayun na po. Thank you po. Ang question na. Hindi ako straight.
So now let's proceed on the overall comment of every panels together with their questions to the presenters. Let's proceed with Engineer Derek Castillo.
Nasaan yung isa mong kasama? Ayan, so once again, congratulations for presenting your thesis. Thesis nyo to, right?
Yes, sir.
And I would like to ask some questions with regards on your presentation and also with your paper as well. So, ayun, same as comment dun sa same as my comment dun sa kabila. So you should think of a more future-proof or more sustainable way of communication since you already told that there's some big limitations when it comes to your internet connectivity. So when your internet connectivity is low, so your system might not be as usable as what we are expecting to, because yun nga IoT eh. And then also what if nga we are preparing for decommissioning of the GSM or the 2G signals. So what if nawala yun? So ano yung panambot natin doon? Kung mahina na nga yung signal, tapos mahina pa rin yung signal nung sa 2G. So,
So, sir,
what will be your backup or your future plans as well?
Sir, ang purpose lang po ng GSM module po namin as notifier and SMS lang po. Ang pinaka-main po namin dyan ay Node MCU po 3268 at 3266. Meron na po siyang Wi-Fi connection and then built-in po siya. So ayun po yung pinaka-main ano po namin dyan, main components po namin sa magiging thesis po namin.
Yes, napansin ko nga dito na the system will give a notification when the waste reaches 80%. But then one of your limitations I saw na you will only use 1 to 2 kilograms ng waste. Di ba parang maliit 'yon? Parang ano lang 'yon kung compare mo sa kahit sa bahay. Sa bahay, if we have waste, yung food waste, siguro yung sinasabi yung 1 to 2 kilograms is parang isang timbalang yun na maliit na ganun. So, how can you state or how can you tell us panelists na pwedeng gamitin yun or magiging magandang application yun compared dun sa mga though wala pa naman masyadong application yun based on observations commercially. But then I suggest bakit masyadong maliit? Bakit 1 to 2 kilograms lang? Why not use bigger containers or kasi yung 1 to 2 kilograms of waste baka nga isang kainan lang yan ng isang normal na pamilya. Ewan ko, I'm not really sure. It depends on the food waste. But then may iba't iba pa rin tayong food waste May iba't iba pa rin tayong yun nga, types of waste na pwedeng gawing fertilizers.
So sir, kaya po siya 1 to 2 kilograms lang po. Kasi meron po siyang soil na imimix after shredding the food waste. Magmimix pa po siya sa ilalim. So magko-combine po siya ng soil and then food waste. Kaya po nililimit po namin ng 1 to 2 kilograms yung food waste po namin na magagamit. So after processing po, pagkatapos po ng final output, meron pa naman pong next batch na maglalagay po ng food waste. Limited lang po muna yung ginagamit po namin na food waste. 1 to 2 kilograms lang po. Para po sa process niya is mabilis lang po.
Okay. Kasi based on your proposed design, since this is a thesis, kaya medyo magtatanong ako talaga sa inyo. Bakit hindi naka-indicate sa thesis yung mga parts? Kasi gusto ko maliwanagan when it comes to hardware. So bakit hindi siya naka-indicate dito sa design description?
So sir, kaya po hindi pa po namin na-indicate po doon sa final project design po namin yung mga components and sa mga hindi pa po kasi final design po yan. Pa lang po, propose pa lang po. Yung final design po namin ay ginagawa pa po namin ngayon. Tsaka po yung prototype din po. And process na din po lahat yan. As usual, makikita nyo naman po pag nadala na po namin dito yung mga prototype po namin na ginagawa po namin.
Kasi dito sa design nyo, sa presentation nyo, you only indicated the hardware requirements. But we cannot really see the actual connection. So, bakit wala siyang circuit diagram or connection? So, paano namin ma-identify? So, yun yung gusto ko sana ding makita. And also yun, pinakita nyo lang dito na gagamit kayo ng Node MCU, na gagamit kayo ng GPRS module, ng mga ultimo yung mga DC motors na gagamitin dito, hindi siya naka-indicate. So, bilang thesis kasi, kailangan naka-indicate na yun para maliwanagan din kami as panelists kung paano nyo siya i-apply. And also, I suggest na wag kayong gumamit ng breadboard power supply module. Kasi ang breadboard power supply module, of course, is only applied or is only applicable to breadboard lang talaga.
Sir, pa lang po yan, as testing po, kung gumagana po yung aming program and then yung mga components po namin kung accurate pa po ba siya.
Hindi.
In the actual po, sir, there are relay then power supply, then emergency button for sa breaker po.
Hindi, when it comes in testing kasi, hindi mo dapat siya i-indicate na ganun. Na for testing purposes lang po kung bakit kami gumamit ng ganito. Kasi ipe-present nyo sa amin ito as a final product na. Hindi na siya as a part of testing. So I think I suggest also that you should not mention na lang din kung anong mga ginamit nyo sa testing, kasi what we are expecting in front of us is the actual output and yung kung ano yung ginamit nyo dun sa actual output. And also lastly, I have some comments with your paper. So based kasi dun sa paper na sinubmit sa amin last time, I suggest na please pakidagdagan ng reference nyo because reference is so important. Referencing is so much important na dun yung parang magiging basis nyo kasi kung bakit nyo in-apply yung study na yan eh. So anong pinagbase, pag tinanong kayo sa actual defense talaga, what is your basis? Kung siyam lang yung inyong kung siyam lang yung reference nyo, saan nyo nilagay yung mga literature nyo? And also, please cite properly kung saan nyo talaga, nag-numbering kayo di ba? Nag-numbering kayo ng mga sources. But hindi namin nakita kung anong number nyo siya, kung anong part nyo siya ginamit kasi walang numbering. So ayun nga, as what will I suggest, referencing is so much important na dyan yung magbe-based yung inyong study talaga. And also, we need to properly acknowledge the original authors of the words and studies as well. So, that's all for me, and congratulations sa pag-present, and I hope you can take our advices then as a part of your improvement as well. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so good afternoon. Ang first question ko is inside the household, nyo, wala kasi akong nakita rito na kung narinig niyo ba ako?
Medyo mahina, sir, ang
Medyo mahina. Hello? Kailangan pala sa bibig talaga. Okay. So, yun ko is, gaano kalaki to magiging project nyo for your family lang ba? For business? Food business? Jollibee, McDo, or kahit anong food business? Or sa buong community ng Tanawan?
As of now, sir, ang pinaka-main pa lang po namin dyan food industry pa lang po sana. So, pero ang pag-benefits po ng thesis namin is Tanawan City College po. Ang magbe-benefits po ng thesis namin ay Tanawan City College po para na din po namin dito sa school namin.
So, Tanawan City. So, medyo malaki din yon. So, yung 1 to 2 kilos, parang ilang salang, kumbaga, ang mangyayari. Parang sa isang tao, kaya kong gumawa ng 1 to 2 kilos ng food waste within 1 day. Para sa akin. So, buong Tanawan City College, so medyo malaki. So, medyo kailangan masyadong maliit yung capacity ng magiging product nyo. Dream big, kumbaga. Ayan, ganun, ha? Then, next one, sige, may comment? Sige, comment. Ano sabihin?
Sir, ang actual size po kasi niya is same as height po ni Ate Mai. Then, yung length po niya actually, din naman po siya, big prototype na po siya.
May prototype na siya.
Sa nakikita nyo pong mga paper and design po dyan, it's not updated po.
Kasi medyo kung sa capacity pa lang, parang sobrang liit. Kung sa Tanawan City College. Tapos, question ko is, food waste. Kasi alam nyo naman kung gaano kadisiplinado ang mga Pilipino, di ba? Pag nagtatapon niya ng basura, magkasama talaga ang papel, plastic. Sobrang disiplinado nating mga Pinoy. Paano natin malalaman kung yung waste na tinapon ng student ng Tanawan City College is a plastic? Pwede ba siyang i-grind? Kasi alam ko, if mag-grind siya into finest, nakita ko kasi dun sa paper nyo, meron kayong sinabi dito na finest, parang pinaka-pino. So kung ang tinapon ng disiplinadong student na yon is a plastic cups with liquid, so ish ba siya nung machine nyo na it is a plastic, a non-biodegradable item, or kasama siya sa scope nyo? Siya na.
Apo, thank you for the question. Bali po kasi po, yung machine po namin, nakadesign po siya na gagamit po ay isang user lang po. So, bali po, opo.
So,
Yun
ibig
po
sabihin,
yung- parang siya po yung maintenance po ng machine. So,
Oh,
lahat po
okay.
ng control, lahat po ng i-input na waste po ay
so siya ang
Opo. Kaya medyo po kasi may nahirapan po kami kasi po na parang natanong na po sa amin ni Ma'am Brenda po yan. Gawa po ng, syempre po kailangan po ng sensor, bukod ng sensor ng nabubulok sa plastic,
Yes,
sa
of
bottles. Kaya po parang po malimit yung expansion po ng aming pinaka-product. Ano po kami na may maintenance po na tao po, ang tatao doon para sa machine po yun.
So kailangan nyo pa rin ng manpower.
Opo,
May
isang
manual pa rin na
manpower po,
process.
opo.
Tama.
Halimbawa po dito, kung sino man po ang naka-assign po para sa mga waste materials po ng Tanawan City, siya po yung magkakaroon po ng access po para doon.
Kasi based dito sa design nyo, walang tao.
May na-indicate. sorry po,
Automated
opo.
kasi yung plan nyo eh. So ilagay nyo siya sa scope and limitations nyo na lang siguro. Oo.
Opo. Opo.
So ilagay nyo na lang siya dun sa sa limitation nyo na hindi kaya.
Opo, sir.
Tapos, kasi nga, kung i-grind siya, hindi naman siya fertilizer kasi plastic siya. Kahit gaano pa kapino yan, plastic at plastic pa rin yan. Okay. So far yun lang. Kasi meron na akong nakita, personally, may student in Faith, sa Faith, nung nagtuturo pa lang ako, way back years ago. So meron na akong nakitang ganitong klase, but it is a different one. So, basurahan din siya, but yung kanilang design is have a sensors if it is a bottle can, if it is a plastic bottle. So yun yung kanila. Pero yung sa kanila, hindi ko nakita yung kanilang actual because I'm not part of their panelist. Ayun siguro nilang ipakita sa akin, hindi ko alam. Pero and then hindi ko nakita kung paano nila napagana. So hopefully pag nagawa niyo tong project niyo to, nandito rin ako. Then, para makita ko kung paano yung process nyo. Pero sana, yun nga, yung 1 to 2 kilograms is sobrang liit lang. Especially if whole Tanawan City College's student. Ano bang population dito, sir?
800 pong students.
100. So, almost 1,000. So, sabi natin 1 kilo isang tao. So, 1,000 kilograms agad. And hindi pa natin alam kung gaano kabilis or ano yung STU, standard time unit ng running ng inyong yung inyong product. So, maybe yung grinding, it takes 1 to 2 minutes. So, sa 1 kilogram, so how many? 2,000 minutes agad. Di ba? So, sobrang tagal. Okay? For a 1 day. Okay? Naintindihan? So, dream big, sabi ko nga.
Opo.
And again,
Thank you po.
congratulations sa inyong dalawa.
Salamat po sa suggestion, sir.
Thank you.
Ayan. Question ko ay nabanggit na po nung dalawa, pero congratulations. Ano po?
Salamat po.
Simple lang po ulit ang tanong ko. Do you have any idea how those food chains at yung mga possible na mga canteen or ganyan, paano sila nagdi-dispose ng kanilang food waste?
Ma'am, ako po, actually po ma'am, nagwo-work po kasi ako sa fast food industry, sa Jollibee po. So, yung mga food waste po namin is separated po sa mga plastic, then paper. So, may kumukuha po sa amin ng mga food waste. Then, pag plastic po, may iba din po kumukuha. Binubukod po namin siya para hindi po sila magsama-sama and then hindi din po siya mabulok at mamaho po. Ganun po mga
Saan
ginagawa
kaya
po
nila
namin.
dinadala yon after nila mag-group?
Ma'am, pag yung mga ganong idea po, ay hindi ko po alam kung saan po dinadala. Ang pinakaano ko lang po talaga ay yung mga basurang plastic tsaka mga papel po na tinatapon po sa landfill natin, sa main landfill po natin.
Okay.
Sa
Kaya-
malapit po sa may Kalamba po yun.
Kaya ito yung napili nyong gawin.
Opo.
Kaya lang, ang sabi nyo, gagamit kayo ng lupa.
Yes, ma'am.
Tama. Eh di, kailangan madaming lupa.
Opo. De, ano na din po, sa user na rin po ang mag-ano doon kung gaano po ano yan. Kung gaano karami din po mga food waste, syempre po, tatapatan din po natin ng gaano din
Ano
karami
yun,
lupa.
paglabas sa machine nyo, compost na siya. Parang ganun.
Opo.
Ready to, ano na siya, gamitin sa pagtatanim.
Ang bali po yung fertilizer na magiging output po natin ay na incubate po natin ng 7 days. Gawa ng pinaka main po na ay main process po nung fertilize po ng food fertilizer po ay 7 days. 30 days po ang tinatagal po nun. So, pinaikli lang po namin siya as a 1 week. One week process lang po.
Ibig sabihin, sa dami na yon, halimbawa sa buong school na to, sabi nga ni sir, ang isang tao ay 1 kilo, pagpalagay natin, no? Ibig sabihin, yung daming lahat na yon, within 7 days, ipipreserve nyo muna yung bago nyo gamitin na ano.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Sorry,
Hindi
sir.
kailangan
Yes,
nyo
ma'am.
ng parang isang lugar na doon nyo ihuhulog lahat ng mga ano nyo. Hindi nyo ba naiisip yung yung pollution na pwedeng i-cause nung sorry ha, kasi hindi talaga ako sa technical. Ako'y dun sa application.
Sige po.
Ayan, hindi nyo kaya naiisip yung pollution na pwede noong maibigay sa mga estudyante, let's say yung amoy niya. Kasi sabi mo nga 7 days pa bago siya yung ma-decay. Therefore, pwedeng mag-cause.
Opo. Bali po ma'am, ang idea po namin dyan ma'am, may third party po sana na kukuha nung mismong na-compose namin. So sila po ang bahalang mag-allocate kung saan po ang area na pwedeng close area na sila po yung kasi po yung product namin, so parang ibebenta rin po namin para magamit din po nila. So kung sa kasalukuyan po, yung idea po namin kasi sa area po ng school namin, hindi po siya ganun kalawak or wala pong allocated place para po doon. So naisip po namin yun sa mga orders. So ang propose po namin, sana po ay merong third party po na parang kukuha nung na-grind po ng machine namin.
Sa ngayon, may idea kayo kung possible na kukuha ng waste ninyo.
Yung agricultural po sana ng munisipyo, kung kami, contact po sa kanila, kung papayag po sila na lang po ang mag-process ng mga final output po namin na food waste na na-shred po. Contact. Then, yung agricultural office po, sila na po bahala mag-deploy po ng fertilizer sa magsasaka po dito sa Tanawan.
Diba sabi nyo, itong school na to, ang una nyong magiging parang experimental nyo.
Yes, ma'am.
Tapos isang machine lang gagawin nyo.
Opo. As of now po, isa lang po muna.
Eh di parang testing lang, no? Parang mas gustuhin ko pang pagwawalisin ko ang eskwela. Magwawalis tayo dito. Magdala na lang kayo ng iuwi natin sa bahay para compost. Kasi 1 kilogram to 2 kilogram only. Kaya papasok pa din yung limitasyon, no?
Opo, ma'am.
Yun. Kumbaga, kadugtong lang din ang tanong nila, no? Then, yung paglulupa din, medyo natin yun. Kasi kailangan natin maghukay. Magkukos tayo ng quarrying. Halimbawa, paglaki ng machine nyo, pagdami ng lupa na kailangan yung i-combine dun sa food waste, ibig sabihin, problema pa rin sa environment itong gagawin natin, no? Paano yung natanggal nating lupa dun sa kinuhanan natin? Ayun, parang sabit-sabit na yung ating tanong, no? Kaya siguro medyo mag-isip tayo ng paraan dun sa bagay na yon, no? Kasi kapag isang environmentalist ang nakarinig ng research, yun agad yung itatanong sa inyo. Kasi pag engineer ka, syempre, di ba, mga ganyan. Pero pagdating doon sa bagay na yon, mahigpit ang government. No, kung papayag ba siya na ipa-implement yung project ninyo basta-basta, kung merong maaapektuhang ganito. Gets po natin.
Opo, ma'am.
Ayan. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Good afternoon.
Good
So
afternoon
before
po.
my questions, allow me to give to you first my suggestions, comments, okay? So first, I would like to suggest, guys, this is a colloquium, right? Am I right? Okay? So you see, nagbihis ako, nagplansya ako, na almost one year kong hindi ginawa. Because I was informed that this is a colloquium. Okay? Can't you see na kami ay nakabihes, pero hindi kami i-judge. We are the judges. Right? Right? So that's why I'm looking here in the criteria. Wala ata sa criteria, sir. Yeah. So tinitingnan ko, ay nako, buti na lang wala sa criteria. Okay guys, so this is just only a reminder, okay? So hindi ko to sinasabi para kayo okrayin. I'm just telling you this because this is just a reminder that this type of presentation, okay, this is a colloquium. So meaning dapat, kung ang mga judges, okay, in front of you, we tried our best to be presentable on front of you, so much better kayo. Okay? So, mas dapat kayo. Kasi kayong i-judge. Okay? So, next time, diba, requirement naman yon kapag presentation, diba, kinakailangan at least man lang naka-corporate attire. At least daw yun, minimum requirement ba, sir, corporate attire? Okay? So, just a reminder lang. Sa susunod, guys, hindi ko kayo ino-okray. Sinasabihan ko lang kayo kasi yun yung appropriate way. Yun yung tama. Okay, ha? So, sa next presentation, kinakailangan daigin ninyo yung attire namin. Ako nga, hindi ko maintindihan kung anong susuotin ko kasi wala nang magkasya sa akin. But I try to be here. Kaya sabi ni Sir Caldo, naka-formal daw. Diba? Sabi ni Sir Caldo kasi naka-formal daw. So guys ha, so reminder lang yun ha. Kasi kung ang mga judges nagpe-prepare, so mas better, mas lalo dapat kayo kasi kayo yung aming i-judge. Okay? Then, secondly, may second pa ako ha. Okay. As much possible guys, since hindi nyo naman kinakailangang i-memorize ang buong document, okay? Try to memorize your piece. Avoid using cellphone or avoid having a codigo in front of you kasi your PowerPoint presentations, enough na yon para maalala mo kung anong mga dapat mong sabihin. Okay? So I have this professor, University of the Philippines, sobra yun. University of Batangas lang pala. Okay? So ang sabi niya, para magmukha ka daw smart in front of your students, para magmukha kayong smart in front of us. So dapat parang maging parot kayo. So meaning, you need to memorize your piece. 'Di ba? Kasi yun man lang, kahit yung study mo ay hindi feasible, yung man lang presentation ay pinaghandaan. At least nakaka-impressive na, may impress na kami kapag ganun. Okay? So second reminder yun guys ha, pandalawang reminders yun. Okay? So let's go back with your study. From the very start, I told you, I don't like your study. Diba? Maraming beses ko kayong sinabihan, your study is not feasible. On the first place, unahin natin yung kanyang purpose. Purpose niya, dito siya sa TCC. Tama? Now, ang question ko, ay, naku, wait. Wait lang ha. Ikukan ko lang. Okay. So since yung study ninyo ay dito sa TCC, nag-conduct ba kayo ng preliminary investigation kung ano ba yung mga type of waste, material waste na meron dito sa ating school? Basta na lang kayo nag-identify, basta na lang kayo nag-declare ay ilalagay namin sa TCC ito. But before that, nag-conduct ba kayo ng investigation? Ano ba ang pinakamaraming basura sa Tanawan City College? Food waste ba?
Hindi po, plastic.
O plastic.
Waste.
So meaning, yung purpose ng study ninyo, hindi nag-match kagad sa type ng kanyang need. Okay? So you're proposing your bin for food waste, right? Tama ba ako? Pang
Yes,
food waste siya.
Food waste
So
po.
meaning, hindi nagmamatch yung inyong purpose doon sa need ng iyong client. So you see, parang ngayon pa lang, hindi na feasible, hindi na siya applicable. Kasi waste products ang target ninyo sa TCC. Then based on your research, ang pinakamadaming basura dito, plastic. Bakit dito nyo ilalagay? Ay hindi naman pala hindi siya economic. Hindi siya match sa need ni client. So you see, meron kagad kayong lapses in that part. Secondly, sabi ninyo 2 kilogram. Okay, 2 kilogram of waste, but the bin, kasi laki ni Miss Muahe. Useless yung product nyong gagamitin, samantalang ang laman niya 2 kilo lang. Bakit ang laki-laki ng lalagyan, pero ililimit mo siya hanggang 2 kilo lang? Hindi ba sayang yung materials? Ay si Miss Muay, sa palagay ko, nasa 100 kilos yan.
Ma'am, ma'am, kaya ano na din po kasi yung sama-sama po siya sa loob lahat po ng ano natin. So meron din naman kasi
Yes,
nilagay din
sama-sama
ano.
sa loob, but
Opo.
then, nilimit mo siya into 2 kilos.
As of now, ma'am, nilimit lang po namin talaga po siya na 2 kilos. Pero pwede naman po siyang tumaas as more kilogram kasi nakadepende po kasi siya sa pag-shred ng ano namin, food waste.
So,
Kaya as of now is 2 kilos muna.
Useless yung paglilimit mo into 2 kilos. So, dapat gamitin mo to the maximum yung iyong material. Useless kasi ang material. Diba? Isipin mo ang mahal-mahal ng aluminum na gagawin para maging bin. Tapos ang pwede mo lang ilagay sa kanya, 2 kilo.
Ma'am, kasi
Dapat
ano lang,
ganyan na lang yung bin mo kung 2 kilo. Diba? Mas makakamura ka sa materials mo.
ma'am, ngayon kasi po, nilakayan po kasi talaga namin. So, hindi pa po namin alam kung gaano kabilis at limit ng kilo na food waste ang pwede po namin ilagay. So, hindi pa po siya namin natetesting kung gaano karami o gaano kabigat yung pwede po namin ilagay doon na waste.
So until this period, hindi nyo pa rin alam kung paano nyo siya bubuuin. So talagang nagpapakita yan na kulang yung literature ninyo. Right?
Ma'am, yung ano po, prototype, pabuo na po. Pero yung food waste po, yun. Estimated lang po namin as 2 kilo.
So, yes sir. Doubtful.
Hindi naman po sir sa hindi po alam. Alam po namin na ganun po. So in-estimate lang po namin na 2 kilos para nakadepende na hindi po namin masisira yung machine namin as food waste bin machine po siya. So nilimit lang po muna namin po as 2 kilo. Gawa po nung blade po na shredder namin, hindi po siya ganun kalaki na makakapacity po kaagad siya ng bigger na food waste po na ganun karaming kilo. Halimbawa, let's say 10 kilogram, madami-dami na rin po siya. Hindi po namin siya gawa ng blade po namin, lang po, tamang sukat lang po namin. Yes sir, gawa ng po siya, gumagamit po siya ng mga motor. So need po siya ng bigger gawa ng hindi naman po pwede natin gamitin na maliit lang tapos mga motor po ang gagamitin natin. Syempre, yung prototype po natin.
Meaning ba ang motor nasa loob ng bin?
Po?
Ang motor ba nasa loob ng bin?
Yes ma'am, nasa loob din po.
So,
Lahat
yung
po.
buong package na yon nasa loob ng bin yung motor, right? Okay.
Sir, ang ginamit po namin na motor is yung para po sa motor po siya ng yung sa washing po yung DC motor po. DC. Bali, po? Bali sir, yung motor po namin is yung para sa ano po, dryer po ng motor na same ganito size. Kaso yung sa food waste po, nilimit po gawa ng hindi naman po namin siya pwedeng bilisan para din po sa safety. Kaya meron pong process na mabagal. Pero po doon sa pag-mimix po, pwede siyang mover ng lagpas po ng mga 10 kilograms po. Pag sa mixer po. Kasama din po kasi siya sa mixer. May mixer din, meron po shredder. Oh sir, yung documents po kasi na nabasa nyo po ngayon is actually is a small prototype lang po tapat ang gagawin dyan. So nag-decide po kami ng malaking prototype para po madagdagan pa po siya ng kilogram po yung mga food waste. Kasi small prototype lang po talaga yung mga documents na nababasa nyo.
Meaning you're submitting a paper na hindi naman yun ang gagawin nyo? You're submitting a document to us, but then hindi pala yun ang gagawin ninyo?
Bali ma'am, hindi pa po kasi siya na-update. Kasi nag-focus po kami sa paggagawa ng prototype po namin. As of now po, nagagawa pa rin po kami ng prototype. Kasi ma'am, i-update po siya namin para pag natapos po yung prototype. Kasi doon po na kami nagbe-base sa nagawa na po naming output.
Babalik ang inyong process. You must have first the study before the development. Anong nangyayari kasi sa inyo, nauna ang development, then document will follow. Kaya kita ninyo nag-experimentation kayo na wala kayong basis. Na hindi nyo alam anong specification ng motor ang gagamitin. Kasi hindi ninyo chinek yung literature. Kasi yung literature ninyo, those will serve as your references. Based on your, kapag tinanong kayo ni sir, o bakit ganito ang inyong 2 kilogram lang? So dapat meron kayong clear literature na based doon sa literature na yon, eto kasi yung ginamit niya. Kasi ang nangyayari sa inyo, your focus is more on the development. Nahuli yung document, which is wrong. Mauuna dapat muna yung methodology, yung methods. Mauuna muna dapat yung literature, then saka yung development. So sa inyo, dinidevelop nyo na, wala ang document. Experimental ang ginagawa ninyo, which is, napakahirap niyan guys. Napakahirap ang documentation ninyo. Maling-mali ang process na yan. Now, what if I told you, what's the methodology na nagagamitin ninyo? O na ginagamit nyo na since nasa process kayo ng developmental na ngayon? What's the method that you're using in your research? So you see, kasi hindi kayo nag-focus sa inyong literature. Okay, lahat kasi ng tanong ninyo, kung nag-focus kayo sa literature, lahat ng tanong namin, kayang-kaya ninyong sagutin. Diba? Okay, then, katulad ng tinanong ko kanina, you're proposing your device for TCC, and yet, based doon sa inyong observation, ang number 1 waste sa TCC ay plastic. What's the use? What's the purpose of using that bin? Para saan yan? Saan yan? Then secondly, IoT. Where's the application of IoT? May human intervention.
Doon po sa IoT, ma'am, bali po, may human, pa rin po siya kasi sa through remote control po ng maintenance, kung sino pa po ang magme-maintenance, bali po, siya po yung using IoT po. Bali may apps po kami sa cellphone niya.
So may app sa cellphone niya na i-on and i-off lang niya yung bin para mag-grind?
Magno-notify po sa kanya kung okay na po ba yung process ng bin, kung okay na po ba, or kung ready na po siya for another process po. Ganun po.
I think you're using the technology in a wrong application. Gagamit ka ng IoT samantalang pwedeng control switch na lang yan. You're overusing the technology na sa katotohanan na hindi mo naman kailangan. Diba? So may maintenance. What's the purpose of using IoT? May tao pa rin magmi-maintain. May tao pa rin mag-ooperate. So you'll be using IoT para lang i-operate niya yung device. Bakit niyo paggagamitin yung IoT? E di lagyan mo na lang yan ng monitoring on and off switch lang yan. Di ba? Number one, guys, the purpose of your study is not visible. Your study as well is not visible. But you insisted. Gusto nyo talaga yan. Kaya gusto nyo lagi kayong nasasabon. Gusto niyo kasi lagi yan eh. Sige, paghandaan nyo lalong finals, pasasabugin ko yung device nyo. Ang kulit nyo kasi, sinabi ko kasi sa inyo, madaming limitations yan. Number one, magiging limitation yan, paano yung mga liquid na food waste? Baka umusok yan.
Hindi ma'am, naka-separated din po yung liquid waste. Naka-separated po sa prototype po namin.
O paano yung mga buto? Ang hilig ko din sa bulalo, paano niyan nag-grind?
Ma'am, kung makikita po yung prototype, malalaman din po natin kung mag-grind po niya yung
Sige,
buto
sa
or
final
not.
defense nyo, magdadala akong bulalo. Tingnan natin.
Sige ma'am. Sige po,
Tingnan natin
dala po kayo.
Okay, tingnan natin. Sagot ko yung buto ng bulalo.
Samahan nyo na yung sabaw para
Gusto
sa amin.
talaga ninyo you insisted your device. Well, I insist, hindi siya feasible, hindi siya viable. Pero gusto ninyo, sige, magkakasubukan tayo sa final defense ninyo. Guys, I am telling you this kasi napakahirap ng pinasok ninyong study. Okay? So sinasabi ko lang to because I want you to be prepared. Hindi ko kayo tinatakot paghandaan nyo lang yung mga ganong questions, ha? Para alam na ninyo, paano pag tinanong ako kaming ganito, paano kapag ganito, paano kapag ganyan. So para prepared kayo sa testings, okay? Okay.
Thank you po sa mga suggestion nyo, ma'am, sir.
And also, I would like to add na lang, please don't look as parang inaano kayo na pinipigilan kayo. Oo, we want you to be prepared nang sa ganon, ngayon pa lang hinaharangan na namin kung ano yung mga possible na pwedeng itanong sa inyo. Now, we don't want you guys to, for example, on the actual defense itself, magbaliwala lang lahat ng ginawa nyo from the start. So, kaya sa simula pa lang, ngayon pa lang, we are giving you precautions.
Sir,
So, precautions
thank you
na
po.
pwede yung matake. And hopefully, i-take nyo, lalo na yung sinabi ni Engineer Niega.
Thank you po panelists.
Oh.
Sige po ma'am, sige po. Magdala po kayo. Thank you po para po sa lahat ng comments and question nyo po. Marami po salamat gawa ng marami pa pong butas yung thesis namin. So hindi naman po kami na perfect. Apo. Sige po. Nagpapasalamat po kami sa mga suggestion nyo.
May I ask, ilang months, ma'am? Ilang months pa yung preparation nila for this? Ilang months? 1 week na lang. 1 sem? 1 month? 1 month. So, good luck. Oo na. So, good luck. I hope in 1 month, matake nyo yung mga advices namin. Kasi, tandaan nila yan. Matatandaan nila. Oo. Matatandaan nila yan kung ano yung nangyari ngayon. Matatandaan nila to. So, I hope you guys na-absorb ng maigi yung mga sinabi ng ating mga kapwa panelists. Ano? So, yun lang. Thank you
po.
so much. Thank you very much.
Thank you po. Sir Alvin po. Sir Alvin.
Thank you, presenters, and especially to our panel of judges for that wonderful, fruitful, and engaging conversation. But now, hold your seatbelt because we have a last presenters with the title, Aquaphonic Real-Time Water Monitoring and Notification System. May I call, So, we will be right back. So, the next presenters with the title Aquaponics Real-Time Water Monitoring and Notification System. And now may I call here at this stage, saan ba yan? Miss Balba Kayla Joy and Santos Realin to present their research.
Ano po, ma'am? Good afternoon, faculties. Good afternoon, faculties, panelists, and presenters, and everyone who were here. I am Kayla Joy Balba. And on behalf of our groups, we are here to present to you our thesis entitled Aquaponics Real-Time Water Monitoring and Notification System. As shown on the screen, it is the ideal aquaponics system. For the past few years, food production is in demand in the market. That's why aquaculture introduced aquaponics. Aquaponics helps to lessen the water consumed in the agriculture sector. It also helps to solve the problem regarding food production. This study encountered different problems to be solved by the researchers. First problem is, what are the possible factors of the existing aquaponics system to be innovated? Second is, what are the significance of the innovated system? And last, how the researchers implemented the innovated system. Objective of this study is to develop and design possible ways of aquaponics real-time monitoring system and notification system using Node MCU and MATLAB Physiologic Toolbox. Specifically, it aims to determine the factors of the existing aquaponics system. Next, determine the significance of the upgraded system. And last, create a program for Physiologic that can implemented in NodeMCU with the use of Arduino IDE. This study used uninterruptible power supply or UPS to prolong the power in the system in case of power interruption. Next is the researchers interviewed the late former Rene Cunanan and he also suggested that this study will be implemented in Tanawan City Demi Farm at Barangay Bilog-Bilog. This study consists of pH sensor, water level, water flow, water pump, and GSM module. Node MCU with the help of Blink-Up application is the brain of the system. The researcher also used The researcher used MATLAB FuzzyLogic toolbox for trial and error for the parameters namely pH sensor and water level. Sugeno style interference are also used. There are some limitations in our study. First, the greenery and soil acidity. Second is automatic feeding in the fish are not included. Third, the water quality, which is parameters, are not also included, and the dissolved oxygen, and we also and the other limit of our study is manual discharging of water. This slide consists of related literature along with their description, hardware, software, and controller. Some of the researchers use FuzzyLogic and implement in Arduino. Some of the researchers use web page like ThingSpeak for Internet of Things. In this study, we use Node MCU and Blink-Up application.
Good afternoon po. This slide shown the conceptual framework. The IPO method was used. The input was, the proponents need to have a knowledge for the hardware and software, hardware knowledge for the Node MCU, and software knowledge for the Arduino IDE and MATLAB FuzzyLogic toolbox. The process was consist of several procedures, from the planning, gathering, data analysis, research, development, and implementation, trial and error, and improvement of the system. The output is the water monitoring system. It is the completion of the input and process. The feedbacks will occur once the users need to have a modification about the system. Block diagram. The parameters and membership functions will serve as the input that will be implemented to the FuzzyLogic controller, and the falsification, and rule base will be happen during the FuzzyLogic, and also the defalsification will implement or the output of the defalsification called CRISP will be implemented to the Node MCU, and from the ultrasonic sensor and from the sensors input sensors, the data gathered by the Node MCU will be sent through SMS via the GSM module and display on the Blink app. Flowchart. The program starts when the input parameters initialize. We have three processes for the water flow, pH, and the water level. In water level, we have three if condition. If water level is less than 21, the water level is is low, and if water level lies in between greater than or equal to 21 and less than or equal to 6, the water level is normal. And if the water level is less than 5, the water level is high or full. All the output will be sent to SMS via GSM module and will also display to the Blink app. In the perspective of the pH, it also have three if condition, which is if the pH is less than 6, the water is acidic, and if it lies between greater than or equal to 6 and less than or equal to 8.99, the water level is normal. And if it is greater than to 9, the pH level is dirty. All of the output will be also displayed in the Blink app and sent to the GSM. Water flow. If water flow frequency is not equal to 0, means there is water flowing in the system, and if not, there is no water flowing from the system. Schematic diagram. It shows all the hardware connections of the components, the connection of Node MCU to the sensors and the GSM module. The pH sensor will trigger if the water is dirty, acidic, or normal. And the ultrasonic is for the water level sensor. The GSM module is powered by LM387. It is for the SMS notification, and the water flow is the indicator if there is water flowing in the system. Proposed design. In our proposed design, we have three parts labeled 1 to 3. In labeled 1, it is the plant's growing bed, where it is a container filled with rocks and crops. And in the label 2, it is the fish tank where the water pump was attached. And our label 3 is the circuit box. It is a waterproof metal box to protect all the sensors and components inside. That's what our proposed design of our aquaponics system. Thank you po. Thank you po.
And now, we will like to hear the overall comments and the set of questions coming from the panel of judges.
Hello, ladies. So, first of all, again, congratulations for successfully presenting your thesis presentation.
Thank you po.
And I have some questions here or concerns with regards on your paper. So first of all, I would like to comment on your paper muna. Your paper is properly documented or properly format, but then where is the references? So, bakit hindi ako nakakita ng reference sa inyong paper?
Sir, sorry po because nagkataon lang po kasi nung time na yun na yung reference po kasi ay hindi po namin na-save sa laptop and nasa flash drive po siya na na-loss. Kaya po kino-compile po ulit namin.
Okay, so what I could suggest next time of course, this is, guys, consider this as a competition because this is can be your training ground din. Training ground nyo, malay nyo, magustuhan nyo rin pala mag-present on your latter future or when you enter on the academe. So you can use this advice as your parang baseline din. So of course, ilang beses kong ulitin, referencing is so much important than anything else. Kasi pag walang references sa nyo, iisipin namin sa nyo yung kinuha. Inimbento nyo lang ba yan? Kinapi-paste nyo lang ba yan kay Google? Ganon. So, ganon ka-importante yung referencing when it comes in research. Okay? And then also yung proper numbering. I would like to acknowledge also yung proper numbering ng kada statement, kung saan yung pinagbasehan nyo, kung ano yung pinagkunan nyo. So, this is my observations lang when it comes on your thesis paper. So, here are my questions doon sa You mentioned that you utilized or used Asogeno type of fuzzy logic. So have you done any simulations?
Yes, sir.
Where is it? Bakit wala siya sa paper?
Actually, sir, we are going the trial and error.
Okay.
So we didn't finalize yet our results. So we didn't include that in our paper. We also include that in the chapter 4. We're going on our chapter 4, sir. So we didn't include that here.
Chapter 4. Okay. So please include when you use for example when you use a fuzzy logic toolbox, please ensure that you put your simulation results so that we can identify or know if your results is your actual results will be the same as the simulation results because the baseline of your actual output will be based on your simulation outputs as well, right? And also I have here some questions with regards on your actual system. So based on the previous systems that has been developed on the past study, what is the novelty of this one? Besides adding a GSM.
Sir, we include the water flow for the volume and also the liter per second of that will monitor because on our related studies, they didn't use the water flow for the indicator. They didn't use water flow.
Okay. And by using water flow, what could be what would be the effect if you will use a water flow sensor? Ano yung magiging epekto niya sa pinaka-system if gagamit kayo ng water flow sensor?
Sir, ano lang po siya, water flow acts as indicator if there is water flowing from the system para po alam ng if ever na may nag-flow pa rin po from the ng water pump. Kasi yung water pump po yun yung nagre-recirculate ng water but some stages po na hindi po siya na ibabalik agad doon due to the reasons that yung mga bato po minsan naglalak, yung ganun po.
Okay. If that's so, what type will you consider on your research? Is it a closed loop or an open loop? So, closed loop ba siya or open loop?
It is a closed loop, sir.
Closed loop. So, meaning kailangan niyang ma-detect if kailangan niyang may ma-detect if may, kailangan magkaroon ng feedback pag sa closed loop, right? So, besides water flow sensor, what are your basis? For example, on your plant growing bed, what are your basis na nagkaroon na siya ng tubig? Ano yung basis nyo na nalagyan na ng tubig si plant growing bed? Kasi based on what I'm seeing here on your system, meron lang kayong water level sensor doon sa fish tank and wala doon sa plant growing bed. So, what are your basis na may tubig na si plant growing bed?
Sir, actually po, doon po sa fish tank po yung magmumula yung water
Okay.
na i-recirculate po ni water pump papunta po sa plant growing bed.
Okay.
Ayun po yung naging namin doon, sir.
Okay, sige. Would it be parang ano bang tawag? Ano bang correct term doon, guys? So parang malulunod. Parang insufficient ba yung pag-circulate kasi from water pump pupunta siya sa water flow sensor, pupunta siya sa plant growing bed. Ano yung consist ng plant growing bed nyo?
Ano po, i-filter niya po yung water para po pagbalik.
Ano yung meron doon sa plant growing bed nyo? Mga bato-bato ba or
Yung sa plant growing bed po, meron po siyang bato sa ilalim. Yung nasa ilalim po ng Then sa ibabaw po yung mga tanim na halaman.
Okay. Sige, last concern. Yung plant growing bed nyo ba may soil?
Wala po.
Wala. Okay. So, one limitation for plant growing bed, kailangan yung mga ilalagay nyo doon, hindi kailangan ng lupa. Oo. Yun. Ayan, okay. Oo. Actually, meron nga rin ako dyan, ganyang klase. Okay, sige, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you po.
I'm satisfied naman.
Again, congratulations. Natuwa kami kasi yung last group, naka-formal. No? Yan, no? Iba yung datingan natin, naka-live stream pa. Ano? Ayan. Actually, nakita ko yung paper nyo in advance. Maayos siya. No? Yun nga lang, sa amin nga, senior high lang, naggawa na ng aquaponics. Meron na rin sila talagang prototype at naipakita nila in a span of 2 weeks, tumubo na si halaman. Kaya lang namatay ang isda. Yun yung naging problema nila, no? At siguro related din doon sa kamatayan ng organism, yung tanong ko, ano? Pasensya na, talagang ganito ang tanong ko. Saan natin ilalagay si aquaponics? Sa loob o sa labas?
Yung system po, ma'am.
Hindi. Yung mismong machine ba yun? Anong tawag doon? Yung mismong yon.
Sa labas po siya ilalagay, sa farm po mismo.
Sa farm?
Opo.
Okay, kasi kanina meron akong narinig na sabi nyo sa loob. Close. Oo, parang ganon. Kasi how come na magpo-photosynthesize ang plant ng walang sunlight? No? Kaya yun po yung nakita ko. Sa pag-monitor natin ng pH, paano natin ma-assure na ang isda ay mabubuhay kahit walang tumingin na tao?
Ma'am, ma-notify naman po yung user if the water is acidic or dirty para po sa fish.
Yun lang ba yung factor para hindi mamatay ang isda? Kasi nagtaka nga ako dun sa project dun sa amin Namatay yung fish, pero nabuhay yung plants. Actually, ang tinanim nila doon is yung lettuce. At nabuhay talaga sila. Nakakain kami ng lettuce. Ayun, kasi pinaresent din nila yon. Yun lang talaga, hindi rin namin hindi rin nila maipaliwanag sa amin kung bakit namatay yung fish. Siguro, innovative yung part na naglagay kayo ng, nagme-measure ng pH. Kaya lang, yun lang ba talaga? Para ma-assure natin na hindi mamamatay yung fish. O meron pang dapat tayong i-add na device doon para mas ma-monitor natin kung, yung halimbawa, yung oxygen level ng water. Acidity, sa pH kasi measure na rin yun, no? Ayun, siguro lang kasi hindi nga kasi ako particular sa mga system, no? Kasi educator ako, kaya ako kasi practical. Paano hindi mamamatay yung isda? Kasi magagamit siya sa pandemic yung aquaponics nyo. Ang tao hindi lumalabas. Kung nasa bahay ka lang, makakapagtanim ka at the same time, makakapangisda ka. Kaya lang, ang gusto nating makita is paano natin mamamonitor nga na hindi mamamatay ang isda. Kasi namatay yung isda dun sa research dun sa school namin. Ayo, yun lang, no? Parang iiwan ko yung sa inyo yung tanong na yon. Kasi hindi pa rin siya nasasagot sa akin. Ayan. Thank you. Yun lang po.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, ma.
Okay. So kanina habang pinakikinggan ko si ma'am, ini-imagine ko yung gusto niyang mangyari. Okay. So guys, ang number one question ko, I'm quite worried for your testing. How are you going to present your device? How big ba yung device?
Ma'am,
How
pwede po
big is the prototype?
prototype po.
Ha?
Prototype po, ma'am.
How big nga?
Ano po, ma'am? Yung
Prototype, ang tanong ko how big, hindi ano yung device. Ang tanong ko, how big is your prototype?
Ma'am, yung system po kasi namin, ano na po siya, yung parang buo na po na i-implement na lang po. Galing po kasi yung system sa Tanawan City Demo Farm. Yun yung po yung dati nilang yung aquaponics system na
Okay.
renovate po namin. Then, inano lang po namin siya, ma'am, parang innovated namin o in-upgrade po namin siya.
So, paano yung testing? So, pupunta tayo doon, i-video din nyo? Paano yung actual presentation?
Ma'am, as of now po kasi, yung aquaponics system ay nasa sala po.
Pardon? Nasa?
Nasa sala po.
O, paano nyo ipipresent? Pupunta tayo ng sala? Diba, sir, sa final presentation, kailangang makita mo mismo yung device. Pupunta tayo ng sala.
Ma'am, actually po, this Saturday po, ililipat po namin yung aquaponics system sa Tanawan City Demo Farm para po doon siya i-present for the final defense.
So, paano yung presentation sa panel? Kasi hindi naman sila mag-grade sa inyo, kami.
Ma'am, online daw po kasi yung mangyayari.
Ayoko ng online, gusto kong makita. Kaya nga nag-present ako ngayon eh. Gusto kong makita. Baka mamaya dayain ninyo sa online eh. Iset ninyo, paltan ninyo yung values na lumalabas. So may testings na kayong nakaschedule.
Meron po, ma'am.
Okay, so how are you going to do the testings? What is the measurement that you're going to use?
Ma'am, pakiulit.
How are you going? Do you have a scheduled testing next week, right?
Yes po.
Paano nyo gagawin yung testing? How are you going to measure your testings?
At, ma'am,
Hindi kasi po pwedeng nagbabasa, gumagana. Hindi pwede yon. You must have a measurement for your testings.
ma'am, we also buy pH kit test for the pH and also the water level. Yung pagme-measure po ng water level is na-measure na po namin yung sa tank po ng fish tank to measure if the ultrasonic is really working.
So meron siyang water level sensor,
Opo.
right? Then may pH sensor din siya. What
Yes po.
else?
Yung water flow po, water flow sensor po.
Water flow? What's the purpose of water flow sensor?
Indicator lang po siya para po dun sa if meron po nadaloy pong tubig from the system.
So how are you going to test the water flow? Yes or no? Yun ang sagot. How are you going to compute yes or no? Guys, we're engineering, right? We're after with numbers. Hindi pwedeng sagot na yes, no, maybe. It should be, your data should be presented in numbers.
Ma'am, yung water flow po, ano lang po kasi siya, indicator lang po namin siya if meron pong nag-flow na tubig dun sa system.
So meaning you're going to measure only two components.
Po.
Thesis to, dalawa lang may measure nyo. Pwede ba yon? Hindi pwede yon. Thesis to, hindi ito special study. Hindi applicable. Ilan ang problems nyo?
3 po.
Stated a while ago your problems. How many are your problems?
3 po, ma'am.
3. Okay, and the third part of your third problem is to operate your system, right?
Apo.
So it should be included in your testings. Operational ba siya? Feasible ba siya kung i-apply in reality o kung gagawin mo siya in actual? Okay, so di ba hanggang implementation kayo?
Apo, ma'am.
So dapat hanggang doon. Now the questions, anong measurement ang gagamitin niyo for your testings? Okay, hindi pwedeng basta kayo magtitest. You should present a valid data na ito ang lumabas sa testings. Okay, malinaw yan ha.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, another thing, another question ko. What are your methodologies?
Ma'am, we use waterfall
What are
methodology.
your research methods?
Research method po ay yung
Nako, nakapagbuo na ng device, hindi nyo alam kung anong methods ang
Waterfall
ginamit
po.
nyo? What are your research methods? Tay tayo dyan. Paano nyo masasagot yung testing instrument yung gagamitin? Ay yung methods ninyo, hindi nyo alam. How do you do your data gathering?
ma'am by research and interview po yung
Okay.
ginamit namin sa data gathering.
So you've done your data gathering through
Interviews po.
interviews and
Interviews lang po sa city culturists at sa
okay, so
farmers
meaning
po.
your research is quantitative. But at the same time, your research is also developmental because you develop a system. So you should include that in your documentation, in your document. Okay? So ang kulang na lang sa inyong sa inyong papers the testing methods. Okay, you're going to use the fuzzy logic. How are you going to test the application of fuzzy logic? What type of testing instrument are you going to use? What testing tools are you going to apply? Are you going to use the ISO 9126? Kasi guys, may software hardware kayo, di ba? So ang hardware, clear na sa inyo, may gagawin kayong testings. Ang hahanapin nyo na lang, anong measurement ang gagamitin? Anong i-measure, rather? Okay, so you need to go back to your literature. Ano bang acceptable pH? Para hindi mamatay yung isda na sinasabi ni ma'am. So, dapat based on your literature, eto dapat ang lumabas sa testings ninyo. Okay? So, yun ang magiging measurement ninyo. Then, at the same time, the water level. So, based sa water level, ano dapat ang maintained pH niya sa gantong kadaming tubig. So, isasama ninyo yan sa testings ninyo. So, clear na sa inyo kung paano nyo gagawin yung testings, paano gagawin ang measurements sa hardware. How about in the application of your fuzzy logic? How are you going to do now your measurement, your testings? Paano natin sasabihin na tama ba? Appropriate ba yung ibinigay ninyo mga values?
Ma'am, we also check it to the fuzzy logic sa MATLAB po.
Paano nga natin sasabihin acceptable yung values? Kasi kasama yung sa itetest. Diba? So kasi ang fuzzy logic nag-base kayo kung anong ibinigay na information sa inyo nung na-interview ninyong experts, right? So sino magbabalidate nung ginawa ninyong output sa fuzzy logic system ninyo? Sa akin, ang nag-validate ng sa akin noon sa Sir Caldo. Talagang tinutukan ko, sir, i-validate mo to. Hindi po pwedeng wala. Kahit sabihin kasi natin guys na you develop a system with a hardware, a software, hindi po pwedeng hardware lang ang kailangan i-validate at i-test. Even yung inyong software na ginamit, yung system itself, there should be an expert who will validate the output. Okay? Tama ba yung values ninyo? So dapat may isang expert o professional na magbabalidate nun. Okay?
Ma'am, ano po yung si Sir Ralph Bisaya. Siya po yung aming statistician.
So si Sir Bisaya, nagturo kayo, baka kay Manuno, ha? Advisor nyo ba yan?
Hindi po, ma'am.
O, pwede. O, sabihin nyo, advisor doon ang itinuro. Okay, guys, you should complete your paper.
Okay? Kulang na kulang yung literature. Kasi sa literature, hindi nyo pinakita na ito ang dapat pH level na meron yung isang tubig para mabuhay kung anong organism yung ilalagay mo doon. Then second factor that you should consider as well, ano yung appropriate water level na equal sa pH level na to. Kasi sa pagdami ng tubig, naiiba yung pH value niya. Hindi po pwedeng pare-parehas magkakaiba yon. Then another thing, you should also consider other factors na nakakaapekto kung bakit hindi po pwedeng mabuhay yung ibang organism sa tubig na yon. Sa katulad ng sinabi ni Ma'am, bakit nabuhay ang isda, ang halaman ng isda'y namatay. So isasama ninyo yan sa inyong scope. At the same time, nire-reviewin nyo yan sa literature. Kasi magkaiba sila ng ino-consider na component. Okay? So dapat i-identify ninyo itong pH level na to with this water level, ito yung mga organisms o ito yung mga pwedeng mabuhay, okay, sa ganitong setup. Kapag ganito na tumaas na siya, mamamatay na ang isda, mabubuhay ang halaman. Kapag nag-equal na sila, parehas na silang mamamatay. So parang mga ganon. Consider ninyo yung mga ganong situations. Okay?
Yes po, ma'am.
O, hihintayin ko yan, ha? So, saan tayo magte-testing?
Ma'am, sa bilog-bilog po.
O, yun. Sir, bilog-bilog. Saan nyo ba talaga kami dadalhin? Kanina sala, ngayon bilog-bilog.
Ma'am, as of now po kasi yung...
Ayaw ko ng as of now. Gusto ko as of the future.
Ma'am, sa Tanawan City Demo Farm po talaga sa Barangay Bilog-Bilog.
O, bilog-bilog na, sir. Nakakatakot sa sala. Baka may tayo salvage do. May tanong pa daw si sir.
Ang question ko lang is, paano yung control nyo ng level of water? Nakita ko kasi dun sa diagram nyo, may taklob siya. Tama? Tama ba? May taklob nga siya. Sa halaman, ano ba tong sa fish pond nyo? Closed din siya? Closed?
Open po siya, sir.
Open. Kasi parang akala ko dito, closed yung taas kasi may parang, ano siya, basta, parang may joint yung tubo niya doon sa upper part nung diagram nyo at dito sa tubo na isa. So, naisip ko, akala ko closed yung sa fish pond, closed din yung sa halaman. So, naisip ko, paano yung controlling of water? Wala namang perfect system. Sa sobrang init, maaaring mag-evaporate yung water, mag-lower yung level of water. Or kapag umulan, maaaring namang, since open area yung paglalagyan nyo, farm siya, tama? So, maaaring madagdagan, umawas, yung isda, magtatalon, ganon. So, paano nyo makokontrol yung level of water? Kung wala naman kayo, manual na lang din?
Yung discharging of water po manual. Ino-notify lang po
discharging nyo is manual. So, may tao pa rin talagang kasama.
Opo.
Paano ko malalaman na kailangan ko nang bawasan yung tubig?
Mag-sesan po ng SMS notification.
GSM?
Opo.
Okay. Then, doon ko na rin malalaman kapag kailangan ko nang dagdagan ng tubig.
Yes po.
So, lalagyan nyo ng limit. Mayroon kayong parang lower limit, meron din kayong upper limit.
Yes
Tama?
po.
So, makakasama na yun sa experiment nyo or sa kapag nag-actual na kayo.
Opo.
Anong chapter yun, ma'am? Saan siya makikita? Yung salt yung magbibigay sila ng chapter 4 na. Sige. So, kung kami man na maging panelist, tanda namin. Maalala na. Saan? Sana talaga?
Sa bilog-bilog
Sa bilog-bilog. So,
Ma'am, yung
Tama.
isda po kasi naaalagaan ay tilapia.
okay. Anong halaman?
Lettuce po.
So saskip pala tayo doon sa may bilog-bilog. Okay, sige. Okay, so sa water kasi syempre mababawasan at madadagdagan yan based on the weather. Ang init, mag-evaporate yung water. Pag medyo may humid, madadagdagan, especially if season na. Malapit na mag-raining season. So yun lang. Thank you.
Thank you po.
Okay, thank you so much, panelists. Add ko lang ng konti kasi sa proposal defense, so andun kami ni Ma'am Niega. So gusto ko lang balikan yung tanong ni na Ma'am Dana. Kasi di ba nag-research nga ako before about sa water quality. Hindi talaga enough yung pH level lang. So dissolved oxygen, hydrogen sulfide, ammonia, ang dami pa nun. 7 yata yung na-identify ko na parameters doon sa na-interview ko before. So kailangan yung i-justify sa related studies na tsaka kailangan may experts na magsasabi sa inyo na yun yung acceptable na critical parameters para sa survival ng fish. Ayun. Okay, thank you. Okay.
Thank you po.
Thank you, presenter, and especially to our panel of judges for your superb knowledge and interesting talk. At this point, may we call on here at stage Engineer Ralph Bisaya for the presentation of special paper.
Saan yung ano? Okay, before we start, let us muna greet our panelists for today, Sir Rinel, Engineer Derek, Engineer Richard, Ma'am Dana, and Engineer Niega. Good afternoon to everyone. So, I'm going to present to you my thesis in our master's degree subject, which entitled Design and Simulation of a Neural Network Controller Based for Assistant Sign Language Robotic Hands. Okay. Ayun. So, in the past few years, so communication is the key role for everyone to communicate properly. And some with physical deficiencies are very difficult to understand or to communicate with everyone. And some of these deficiencies is mute people or deaf people. And some of the within these past few years, these mute people and or deaf communities made such a development for their communication tool. And this tool is a sign language. And in the Philippines, we have our national sign language, so-called the Filipino Sign Language, which is came from the American Sign Language. So it is natural that we have very common alphabets from to the Native American and in our native Filipinos. So the difference between the Native American Sign Language and the Native Filipino language is that we have more than 5 letters or 5 letters in compare with the American Sign Language. But, ayun. So in the study presented here, it is the design of the artificial neural network. And the artificial neural network used here is the convolutional neural network. So what is convolutional neural network? So convolutional neural network has 3 types of layers. So the first layer is the convolutional, which is the main common in how we can going to segregate the images from the image selections. So in this case, I get the data from the samples of the images The next, the pooling layer, it is the next of the convolutional layer, made from another layer, then another layer, then another layer. It is called pooling layer. There are two layers, which is max pooling and minimum pooling. And then the fully connected or FC layer, which is the final process for the convolution. So as you can see in the figure in the slide, it is the sample figure for the convolutional layer. And then the sample figure next is the figures for the pooling layer. The scope of this project is that it used the Filipino Sign Language for the data set, used MNIST or Modified National Institute of Standard and Technologies, which came from the data. Then the data sheet contains 27,455 training images. So in your PC, in your simulation, your local disk have more than 28,000 images or 28,000 samples after convolutions. And then 7,172 test images with all shape of 30 by 30 pixels. So from the original pixels, which you get the data from the MNSIT, from the programming method, which is the Python language. So after image acquisition, there is an image segmentation, which we are going to minimize and decrease the size of the images into 30 by 30 pixels. And then the training data has 27,455 rows and 765 columns. So later on, we will see our simulation. So the method used to train the images is the convolutional neural network. So what is the difference between the convolutional network aside from the other neural networks? So convolutional network, it is greatly used when we are going to test and simulate images, audios, videos. And aside from another convolutional network, which from the researchers' studies, it is the commonly used method for the artificial neural network. Then feed the CNN model with the process images type to classify the images. And then use Keras and TensorFlow API. So from the software used, which I later discussed, so Keras and the TensorFlow is the API for the Python programming. So software used is the Anaconda and Spider. So Anaconda is a software simulation for the different kinds of programming language. It is like Visual Studio. Another type of program or software is widely used is Anaconda. And inside the Anaconda is the Spider. Spider is IDE for the Python programming. Aside from Jupyter, wala. So now we're going to do the simulation processes. So these images are from the data sheet from the MNSIT. So I get the data from the MNSIT Google Drive. So it is a freeware. It is a free images from the MNSIT. Sample images of the sign languages used. And then after that, read the training and test the CSV files from the data of the MNSIT. And then check the shape of the training and test the data. So this is the programming, Python programming on how you're going to shape or resize the data. And after that, check the training data to verify the class labels and columns and represent the pixels. So we have the table here. We're going to represent the pixels here. And then check random images from the training set. So after you reshape all the images, you're going to train or random images from the training set. And then this is all that training set from the images of our sample. Check the shape of the training data set again. then unfold the data to make it available for training. And after that, this is the creation of the CNN model for the training and testing. So, napakahaba po nito, napakahirap. Ayun. So, the result, compiled and trained the CNN. So, I test the CNN with 50 epochs. So, epochs is, let's say, it is 50 trials. So, it is, this is the training performance for the CNN model, the actual. And then this is are the training set after you gather the result. And then this is are the normalized values for the CNN model. That is 100% accuracy. So 96% for the 26 all in. So so the best method for you to make more accuracy is to increase the epochs of your result. Conclusion, it is concluded that the convolutional neural network has given an outstanding performance in the classification of sign language symbol images. The average accuracy scored for the model is more than 96%, and it can further be improved by tuning the hyperparameters. The hyperparameters are the images selections. Train the CNN model with 50 epochs, and the accuracy may be improved if it has more epochs of training. However, more than 96% accuracy, also an achievement. Next process is to implement the CNN model to Arduino microcontroller using Python. So what is the difference here? Arduino uses C language, but now we will going to implement the Python programming into the Arduino. So before we end our slide, so let's have a sample verse here. So from Romans 8:38-39. So for I am convinced that neither death nor life, neither angels nor demons, neither the present nor the future or any powers, neither height or nor depth, nor anything else in our creation will be able to separate us from the love of God that is in Christ Jesus our Lord. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Bisaya. To be honest, we learned so much today. But I think serve some break, be entertained, and feel relaxed with the intermission number from second year level, Mr. Cedric Bagalay.
Okay. Thank you, Engineer Bisaya, for your presentation. Since we are panel of the judges, so we would like to ask some questions regarding your wonderful presentation. So at first, I understand that neural network is one of the computational intelligence, and one of the challenging part in neural network is training and testing the data. So normally in the conferences, we usually ask questions regarding how long it took you to do the training and the testing of the data.
1 year.
Hello, sorry?
1 year.
It took you 1 year to train and test the data. Okay, so that's too long. And what particular application did you use? Did you use MATLAB or API? What specific
Anaconda.
API? Okay, Anaconda.
This software po, yung tinuturo sa amin sa masters. Kasama ko si Richard doon.
So tinuro, I would like to ask Engineer Amante ba? Tatanungin
Ano
ko
po?
siya ngayon.
Ano po? Actually, nung sa master's degree po, tinuturo po sa amin yung Anaconda. Which is, tinuturo po sa amin yung Python sa Anaconda. So, paano mag-program ng Python? Kasi nagturo...
PSU din si Madam, si Ma'am Niega. Sakto, okay.
Opo, ayan po.
Okay,
Tinuro po
so
sa amin
that's
ng
good.
teacher po namin doon.
Okay. No further question.
Hindi po. Si Sir, ano po, Kaluyo. Sir Kaluyo. Sir Ko. Dok Ko.
Okay. Kasi forte po ni Dr. Alon ng Artificial Intelligence. Sir, question ko lang. Kasi di ba yung recommendation mo ba yung application of Python to Arduino?
Yun po yung next step ko po to implement po kasi simulation process lang po siya. So if hindi pa po siya implemented into the Arduino microcontroller. Kasi the original thesis po talaga is gagawa po ako ng robotic hands na gamit po yung microcontroller. So this is only the simulation part.
Ah, okay.
Python kasi.
Yes.
Yes, Raspberry kasi ang Python. Kaya,
Yes po.
paano mo
Bali,
i-apply?
si Python po, ma'am, i-implement ko siya sa Arduino using Python programming. Di ba po, ang Arduino po ay gamit ay C language.
C language siya.
Pero ngayon po, possible pong gamitin si Arduino using Python.
Talaga?
Meron pong bagong ID na nilabas si Arduino.
Oh, kasi we have the automation before. Yung Python, kaya ako naging over sa Python. We make use of Raspberry. Raspberry yung ginamit
Opo,
kasi ng mga
Raspberry po
estudyante
talaga.
ko.
Since siyempre, gusto pong mag-innovate ni Arduino. Actually, marami na pong board ngayon si Arduino na
Kasi
dinevelop.
hindi nakuha ngayon yung C talaga, naiiwan ng C. Dapat talaga Python na ngayon talaga.
Python na po talaga, ma'am.
Oo. Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Engineer Ralph Bisaya, and to our panel of judges. To be honest, ang sarap makinig sa mga professionals at ang dami nating matututunan. By the way, let us be entertained by the intermission number coming from the second year level, Mr. Cedric Bagalay.
Hey, have you ever tried really reaching out for the other side? Maybe climbing on rainbows, but baby, you're ghost. Dreams there for those who sleep. Life is for us to keep. And if you're wondering what this song is leading to, I wanna make it with you. I really think that we could make it, girl. No, you don't know me well. Every little thing only time will tell. But you believe the things that I do, and we see it through. Life can be short or long. Love can be right or wrong. And if I chose the one I'd like to help me through, I'd like to make it with you. I really think that we could make it, girl. No, no, no.
Okay, and now we're back to award the certificates. Let me call on our Access President, Miss. Aba. Let's award this certificate of appreciation to Engineer Ralph Lawrence Visaya in gratitude for being a special presenter and inspiring the students and faculty members in the second TCC Research Colloquium entitled Strengthening Researches in Engineering Profession and Information Technology Education Towards Global Competence during the Engineering Days 2021 with the theme TRES, the Reinvention of Engineer Supremacy. Given this 19th of May 2021 at the TCC Audiovisual Room, Tanawan City College, Tanawan City, Batangas. Let me call on our Association of Competent Computer Engineering Students President, Ms. Relusayalayam Naling, and our Program Head, Engineer Maria Teresa Prenda, together with Engineer Rionel Caldo. Prepare to shot 1, 2, 3. And now to award the Certificate of Appreciation to our panel of judges, Miss Engineer Juliet Onyega, Engineer Derek Castillo, Certificate of Appreciation to Engineer Richard Amante in gratitude for being one of the judges in the second TCC Research Colloquium entitled Strengthening Researches in Engineering Profession and Information Technology Education Towards Global Competence during the Engineering Days 2021 with the theme TRES, the Reinvention of Engineer Supremacy. Given this 19th day of May 2021 at the TCC Audiovisual Room, Tanawan City College, Tanawan City, Batangas. Again, let's welcome Engineer Richard Amante. And now let's call on to another panel member, Engineer Derek Castillo. And let me call on our panel chair, Maria Diana D. Salas. And last, our internal panel, Engineer Juliet O. Niega. Again, let's give them a round of applause to our panel of judges. And now we will proceed to the awarding for our presenters.
Okay, Ma'am Matep. May we call on two panel chairs, internal and external, Ma'am Dana and Ma'am Juliet Niega. They'll be the ones to award our winners for today's colloquium. Okay, yan. Okay, so are you guys ready? Ang dami natin dito colloquium. Ready na po ba yung mga groups who presented kung sino yung nanalo? Starting off, ready na po ba yung certificates? Okay. So, wala pong nakalagay na percentage pero this is the average score from the 4 panelists that we have. For our third place for the Best Presenter Award, our third place is the presenters for Development of Internet of Things IoT-based smart healthcare monitoring and tracking system. Meron ng clap. Okay na. Okay. Madam President, pabigay sa ating panel chair yung certificates nila. Congratulations, third place for your presentation. Dito, para may picture. Yan. You're holding your certificate. Ako?
Teka lang, wait lang. May ano pa. Nag-freeze.
Lobat yung cam. Okay, wait lang. I-medal po, ma'am. O, di ba may medal kayong dalawa? Are you happy? Magagalit siya. Di ba third? Baliktad pala to, no, ma'am? Okay, wait lang natin yung ating camera. Salamat sa ating media man. Okay. Congratulations to our third place for the best presentation. For our second place, for our best presentation, the winner group, IoT-based automated food waste compost bin machine. Second place. Okay, congratulations to our second place best presenters. Suot nyo naman para feel na feel nyo yung award. Okay. Okay. Tingin tayo. Dito. Palapit. Okay. Okay. And of course, our winners for the best presentation, Aquaponics Real-Time Water Monitoring and Notification System. I think Rhea Santos and Kyla Joy. Okay. Congratulations. Kayo yung nanalo sa best presentation. Okay, tingin tayo. Okay, let's now proceed to the best paper. Third place, third place, IoT-based automated food waste compost bin machine. Mapapagalitan ako ng judges. Third place po, compost bin machine. Best paper. Best paper. Of course, in behalf of your group mates na nasa online, yan. Okay, and for our second place, development of Internet of Things, Smart Healthcare Monitoring and Tracking System. Oo. Sila na lang, ma'am, sa best research. Apo. Oo. May we call on Engineer Amante and Engineer Castillo to present the award? Pagod na siya ngayon. Pagod na siya mag-picture. All around siya, all around. Ay, ayan, nasaktan pa. Okay. Compress ng konti. Okay, and the winner for the best paper award goes to Aquaponics Real-Time Water Monitoring and Notification System. Ginalingan. Okay. Compress, compress. May medal na yan. Okay, let's now move on to the best research. Third place, development of Internet of Things, IoT-based smart healthcare monitoring and tracking system. Best research. Tayo uli lang naman yun. Okay. Okay, tingin tayo sa third. May medal yang sa best research. Isuot. Okay. Okay, for our second place, IoT-based automated food waste compost bin machine. Awards.
Yung mag-represent sir dapat talaga dun sa ako po. Sa puno. Masama ang pakiramdam kasi nagpa-vaccine ng AstraZeneca dito isang araw lang yung side effects sa kanya.
Ayoko kasi nasa munisipyo sila. Di ba? Okay, smile. And once again, our winner for the best research, Aquaponics Real-Time Water Monitoring and Notification System. Yan, Mapanghakot Award sa kanila na lahat. Okay, congratulations. Okay, thank you again to all the winners. Okay, MCs.